I think you've got to be authentic to yourself. If you're not, people can see right through that. And I've always loved helping people. That's been what I've done in most of my career is help people. So it comes naturally to me. And my aim for everyone, or my mission really with the Smart Travelista is for everyone to learn these tips so they can travel in quality more cheaper and they can travel the world because it's such a fabulous experience. It's so educational and it really adds value to your life. So that's what I would want for everyone, really.
You're listening to Brainwork Framework, a business and marketing podcast, brought to you by focus-biz.com.
Welcome back to another episode. With us today is the founder of the Smart Travelista, Linda King. The Smart Travelista helps those who want to travel in quality, but without the hefty price tag, with budget-friendly prices, but not budget quality. Linda, so excited to have you on. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for the lovely welcome. It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you so much. We always like to ask our entrepreneurs about their journey. What were you doing before that led you into what you're doing today?
So I started traveling as a kid. I was lucky to have that opportunity. And once the travel bug hit me as a kid, I wanted to get in the travel industry. So that's what I did. I became a travel agent in an airline and worked with them for a while. Then I moved from where I was born, which was in Sydney, Australia, as you can tell by my accent, and then moved down to Melbourne. The jobs weren't there. So I decided to pivot and do a different industry, which was the banking. And in between all of that, I've been traveling the world, as you do. And then the Smart Travelista came about, I think, from my love of travel and also love of money. Everyone loves money, if we're honest with ourselves. Money gives us a lot of opportunities, especially to travel and do other things. So the Smart Travelista came about because of those two loves and also just questions I was getting from other travelers. And I realized that I had a lot of knowledge and potentially tips that I could give people. For me, they're just common sense or automatic because I've been doing them for so long. But for other people, they may only be new. So that's how it all came about.
Wow, that is so cool. A lot of our entrepreneurs share about how it was kind of a seedling of solving a problem that they had themselves or felt like that information would be helpful to others. And for me, I don't travel often enough to really know the ins and outs and tips and tricks. And I think that prevents me from wanting to travel a bit more. But tell me more about your content journey because you have a website, you have a YouTube channel, you're posting this content to. Tell me how that vision kind of came together and how content marketing is working for you right now.
That's interesting. I had a conversation a few years ago with someone who was highly experienced in marketing. It was just the beginning of my journey. I think it was probably the first podcast that I'd ever been on. And he questioned me. He said, so you've written this book. Do you have a website? Are you doing blogging? And these things were going around in my brain and I really didn't know how to start. But after that pivotal conversation with Fabulous Man, I thought, you know what? I don't have a website. I don't have a blog. I need to be getting these things. Obviously, I was starting with writing the books. And I built my website. I knew nothing about building a website. And I think along the time, I've just learnt more and improved the content. I've always been writing. And I think as you write, you get better because you're doing more of it. As far as the marketing, I experimented probably like a lot of business owners. What fits well with me? What works? Obviously, I'm talking to you now on a podcast, but I'd done other things. Like I think what you've got to do is you've got to investigate and do what's right for you because it's an ongoing thing. As an author or even as a business owner, you need to do that continual marketing. So it's got to feel natural and comfortable for you. My advice would be have a go at everything and see what resonates with you most and then continue doing that because you will go on the long haul with that. If you're doing things that don't fit well with you, then you're not going to do them.
It's so true. We're not going to stay committed to something that we just don't feel confident in the direction or just don't feel good about doing that type of content. It's tough to stay consistent with that type. So it's important for you to find something that fits well with you. So for your business, tell me more about the business as a whole. How do people find you? What services do you help them with? Or is it more about the content education piece? I guess, how does a client start with your business?
Yeah, so normally people will obviously see the books. I get feedback. People send me emails after that. I put out content. So I'm trying to put out regular blogs. I'll do social media, be on podcasts, and people reach out to me either by the website or the social media or email. And I don't really officially help people on a paid sort of service. I have a full-time job, so this thing with the Smart Travelista is on the side. Maybe in the future I will do more of that. But look, at the moment, I help people for free. Obviously, I have the expertise as a travel agent, and people that I've either collaborated with or have had contact with will come to me and say, I'm thinking Paris. Can you give me some recommendations? Are there some blog posts that you've written about that? And they did ask me those sorts of things. I have been doing a little bit of that, but I think probably in the future it'll be a bigger thing. But as you can imagine, with a full-time job, the time is a little bit limited. But if anyone sends me email or reaches out, I'm very helpful and will give them tips. And I think it's good for relationships. You do those things, you give out. And obviously, a lot of business owners give out free content. I think that's a good thing because people get a taste of what you do. And if they like what you do, then they're more willing to build that stronger relationship with you in the future.
I totally agree. I actually love that you're not focused on selling a product or making money from this. This is, hey, this is going to be helpful for people. It's more of an educational entertainment piece of it, and it could be monetized later. But I agree, those relationships and conversations that you have with others, I think they bring more benefits than doing some sort of upfront fee for any of the services. Because now maybe they're willing to let you stay at their guest house when they come in, or they can hook you up with some special discounts or bonuses. So I love that approach to how you kind of build this out for people.
Yeah, I think you've got to be authentic to yourself. If you're not, people can see right through that. And I've always loved helping people. That's been what I've done in most of my career is help people. So it comes naturally to me. And my aim for everyone, or my mission really with the Smart Travelista is for everyone to learn these tips so they can travel in quality, more cheaper, and they can travel the world because it's such a fabulous experience. It's so educational and it really adds value to your life. So that's what I would want for everyone, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those of us who have a negative connotation about traveling abroad, or at face value, it seems very expensive. I guess they're like a typical budget range that we should expect to spend, or maybe here's the craftiest way you can go to Paris on X amount of money.
I think it depends on the destination you're talking about, Chris. So, for instance, for me, because of my location in the world, if I go to Asia, it's very cheap. So my budget is going to be a lot more, or I'm not going to need as much money, put it that way. But if I'm going to Europe, well, that's a different situation. You don't want to let the cost of going somewhere deter you because there are ways of getting around the expensive cost. It's just about the research and knowing when the best times are to travel. So if you can get that information, it gives you a really good base to be able to go, I know this is traditionally a really expensive place. I've built up my miles. How about if we take the miles and use that for the airfare? Automatically, that's a cost reduction, right? So there's ways and means of making the cost more affordable. And you're going to see those luxury, beautiful, nice places. But it's all about the strategy you build for yourself. One, the research, and then the strategy and the plans that you've got for your travel.
Absolutely. And speaking of that research, is there generally a recommended time frame of when people should be booking their vacation plans and ideas? Because I feel like the further you book out, the higher the price because you're guaranteeing a date. And then sometimes when you get a little bit closer, those prices could get cheaper, but you run the risk of losing a flight or an available hotel. Is there typically a recommended time frame that you like to suggest for people to book their vacation plans?
It depends on what sort of person you are. Are you a risk taker or you more want to be more stable?
Well
Um,
said. Very true.
yeah, if you're a risk taker, then maybe a month out is good for you. But what I would say, you think it's going to be more expensive the further out, but you'd be surprised because some hotels will offer you a really cheaper rate for the accommodation. But the big rule with that is it's non-refundable. So if you can pay more, then be able to cancel at the last minute, or you can pay less, but it's non-refundable. So in a way, it's a bit of a risk either way. if something happens and you're in trouble because it's non-refundable. But there are hotels do offer that. What I would say with airlines is be on their mailing list because they have a lot of sales. How are you going to find out about those sales? You need to be on their mailing list because they will tell you when those sales are on. And say you're 9 months out and you're going to London and a sale comes out. Well, I'd be booking that sale fare because you may not get that price closer to the time. So again, it's about your decision, how comfortable you feel about, is that within your budget? If that sale price is right where your budget sits, then buy that fare. If you can take the risk of being non-refundable, then book that accommodation early. But that would be my advice. But we're not all the same. Some people love doing it at the last minute. That's great. Others want to plan it. So it's up to the individual, really.
I like that. It's like, how lucky are you feeling? Are you a risk taker? Do you want to take that chance? And like you said, if it's the right price, you might as well just buy it now and lock that in. I think that's really important. Something I want to ask you, since you like to be a helpful resource, what has your experience been working with YouTube, creating this content? Are you finding that a certain practice or strategy has worked better than others, or something that may have been surprising to you within the YouTube marketing that you're doing?
Yeah, something's really interesting is I'll have a blog post and I might replicate that into a video. I'm finding that people are more interested in the video. I think people like videos. They like to read as well. There's a big proportion of the population that like to watch because it's easier, right? That was quite interesting for me. And I'm seeing the hits on the video. That was really interesting. I think YouTube is something for everyone. Some people like the videos about the travel tips. Other people like to be amused. Other people like to find information. So you've got a cross section of people on YouTube that want different things. So it's about how do you appeal to all those markets and build your following and your followers on there.
Yes, absolutely. And I hear that from a lot of people is trying to find that balance and blend between the education and entertainment. Because you're right, people who want to find the information, and then you have other people who are more just casual, they want something to watch and view. So it's like, how do we craft this into the script and the storytelling and everything that you create? Is all of your footage from everything you capture yourself, or do you source any footage as well? Like, okay, maybe I couldn't get a shot of this place, so I'll add some B-roll, but you still want to include it in your content.
No, it's all my footage that I take. I'm an avid photographer when I travel as well as writing. I take probably more videos than I need, and then eventually I'm going to need the videos. So I've almost blown up my iPhone every time I go somewhere because I'm taking all the videos.
It's like always reaching back storage.
That's it. You just don't know when you're going to need something, right? Better to be prepared. But I would agree with you. Everyone's in for different things. Entertainment. Yeah, try and educate, but also entertain and show people things about Australia as well. I've found that some of my really popular content is anything to do with Australia. They actually love that. Kangaroos and other animals. So it's about trying to do a little bit for everyone, but things that I'd want to see myself. So they're the sorts of things that I'll put up.
Oh, that's very cool. And it's interesting. You're like, I really didn't plan on traveling to my backyard, but if people want to see a kangaroo, I guess that's what I'm going to have to do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's very interesting. But it's one of those things that we don't really know until we put the content out there. What we see gets picked up by the algorithm, what people start to engage with a bit more. And then that data just helps us define our strategy, give us more clear direction on, should we create more content like this? Is this my audience? Or does kangaroos have a limit to it where you're like, I can't do any more Australia-based content. So it's up to you as the creator to be able to do that. Now, Linda, I want to ask, where can people find you online and get connected with you?
Yeah, so they can go to my website, so thesmarttravelista.com. They can reach out to me on social media. So I'm on almost all social medias. Love a chat. You've got a travel question. I love those as well. And absolutely, if you want to get more in depth into my book series, you can go on my 2 book series. You can go onto Amazon and investigate them there. But all the details are on my website if anyone wants to check it out. And definitely, if you want to read blog posts about everywhere around the world and get a few money saving tips, go to the blog as well on my website.
I think everybody loves saving money. I think a lot of people are going to go there, and we will have those links available down in the show notes and the description for everybody. Linda, I wanted to ask you something personal to you. Your top three places to visit, if you feel like there's only three places you could recommend to other people, hey, you have to try this at least once. Do you have a top three?
That's a hard one, Chris. I'd probably have to think about the places I've been to recently, but one place that I would always recommend is Italy. Italy is just a fabulous country. Another place that really surprised me was South Korea, Seoul. That's quite an interesting and amazing place. And then also French Polynesia. So, so last year went to Bora Bora and also Tahiti, which is traditionally a really expensive place. But as I said, you use your travel strategies, you can get bed cheap, but they'd be my top three. I'd probably have a top 20, but we'll keep it at the three.
I know, right? I was like, how much time do we have? Because I could really go into a top 20 because it's hard to pick and choose because there's places you haven't visited yet. And maybe you didn't feel like you got the full experience from a place. Is there a way that you recommend to build out your own itinerary to make the most out of a place? Because I feel like you have half of people who really like plans and they want a structure to it. You have people who just want to go with the flow and kind of take things as they come. Do you recommend some sort of strategy when building out an itinerary so people can make the most of their vacation?
I think you've got to ask yourself, where do I want to go and how long have I got? But that's going to be the real big triggers on what you can do. Also, part of that is what's your budget. So consider that as well. What I would say, you need a flight, you need accommodation. They're your basics, right? And maybe transport to get from the airport. All the rest of it can come later. But what I would say is, what do you want to do? Do you want to go on a beach holiday and sit by the beach and read or swim or drink or whatever you want to do? Do you want cultural experiences? Do you want to see your bucket list places? Is there certain tourist attractions? So I'd think about what you want to do or what you enjoy doing most, because that's probably where you'll sort of the area you'll go into. So say you love your beaches, you love relaxing, you want to sit by the pool and read and maybe have a drink. Well, then maybe Thailand or somewhere in Asia, like an island destination might be the perfect place for you. If you want cultural, you might want to go to Italy or somewhere in Europe where you've got all that deep history and you can go on tours. If you want something that's going to stretch you mentally and physically, you might want to go to somewhere like South America and do some hiking, Machu Picchu or somewhere like that. So it's really up to the individual what they want to do. What is it they want to see? Or what's the aim of their trip? What is it that they want to do? And then build the trip around that.
I like that approach to that because for me personally, number one sounded the best with the beach, swimming, reading a book, just hanging out, relaxing. But also number two and three, I want to pepper that in a little bit because I want some cultural experiences and then something just kind of big that if you're a physical and active person, that would be something to try as well. But I want that blend of relaxing on the beach with seeing some cool sights. I think that's a nice blend.
Yeah. And it's individual. So what I might want to do might be totally different to what you want to do, but it doesn't mean it's not right. It's just what's right for you.
Absolutely. And for us in the States, we have like visas we have to apply for. And sometimes that process is maybe 3 to 7 months and picture and some paperwork and we send in some money and then we get our passport to be able to travel outside the country. What is the process either for Australia or other countries as well? Because I assume our audience is going to be from different places. What does the travel restriction look like or the process?
So it depends on what passport you're a holder of. So being an Australian passport holder, we can go into certain countries without a visa, but it depends on your passport nationality. So what I would say, if you're doing your booking yourself, you need to go and check. And normally the airlines make this easy for you. They'll give you a link into a visa portal, but you can also search for them yourself. And it's about Googling and saying, I'm an Australian passport holder and I'm traveling to such and such a place. Do I need a visa? And then will be some websites. And it's just about going through and they'll ask you that question. What passport holder are you? How long are you going to be at this place? And that'll tell you whether you need a visa or not. So yes, that's a really important thing because some visas take time to get, up to 72 hours beforehand. If you arrive at customs at an airport, you might be in real trouble if you haven't done that. You actually might get charged more, which is something we don't want to be doing because we want our trip to be affordable, right? So it's always, again, as I say, research, find out that before you go, because that is a requirement depending on where you go. And for instance, now the UK has brought in a new rule where you need to get a visa, whereas before, as an Australian, we didn't need to have that. So it's good to keep up to date, especially not on everywhere in the world, but on the places that you're going to go soon.
Absolutely. Any policy or legislation might come into play that'll affect your travel plans, something we need to be mindful and aware of. Linda, I wanted to ask, what are you most excited for into 2025 here? Are you kind of doing all of the same amazing stuff you've been doing, or do you have new initiatives or products you're considering launching?
So I'm on the verge of launching my 11th book within the next month or so. I'm madly getting the 12th book finished. So definitely 2 books this year. Also, I'm going to be involved in an author book fair within less than 3 weeks now in Brisbane, Australia. I'm going to be up there on an author panel speaking, and then also talking to people face to face and selling my books. So if anyone's in Brisbane on the 13th of April, you need to reach out to me and I will tell you all the details. And then in September this year, I'm going to Donegal and Ireland for a travel conference to meet other travel creators, bloggers, and that's going to be an amazing few days as well, and plenty of travel on the horizon as well. So very busy. Oh, and probably writing blog posts in between when I've got time in between all that.
That's great. I love that. Very exciting. A lot of things to look forward to, both the speaking engagements, meeting and networking with more people, just kind of sharing your love and passion for traveling. Linda, we appreciate you coming on to our show and sharing all of your tips and tricks with us. We really, really appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.